Let's see how the Dolphins can make or get knocked out of the playoffs. What's up, fans? So yesterday I told you guys today I was going to make a video essentially breaking down how I think the whole playoff picture is going to pan out this year, right? So if you don't know already, there is on the ESPN website, there's this thing called the NFL playoff machine. And I've used this thing for years on years on years. Every time at this point in the year when the Dolphins are always in contention and in that wild card hunt race thing, I always use this thing to see, like, what do the Dolphins have to do? Who do they have to beat? Who needs to lose? This, and that, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm going to do is, I already did the NFC. I did the NFC to the point where if they were facing an AFC team, I didn't pick that game yet because I'm going to do that with you guys live. But if there's an NFC team facing an NFC team, I already picked those. So here, let me shrink myself down. Boop. And now you can see what the standings kind of look like. So there's some teams that already, I picked their 16 games. Like the Rams are already in first seed because I think they're going to go 15-1. You'll see why. There's teams that they're playing that I'm like, they should definitely beat. You see that the Saints are 14-1, which means there's a game I haven't picked because they're playing an AFC team and stuff like that. So let's just stop all the Shazams. Let's just jump right into it. So we got week 13, right? So I picked the Saints to beat the Cowboys, I picked the Packers to beat, this is all stuff that you've already seen with the picks from Wednesday. So I honestly would think that don't be surprised if the Falcons beat the Ravens. And then obviously the Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders. Here I think that the Titans will beat the Jets, but it actually would benefit the Dolphins in the long run if the Jets beat the Titans. But right now I'm going off of what I think, and I think that the Titans will beat the Jets. I think the Broncos will beat the Bengals. I think that the Vikings will beat the Patriots. I honestly think that the Steelers will beat the Chargers. I picked the Browns to beat the Texans. I know a lot of you guys are probably like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but so in the month of November, the Browns have only actually given up 2 sacks. So Browns are doing better than a lot of people think, and also a lot of people are like, it's the Browns, so they suck. But I think the Browns are going to win this one. Now, the Colts and the Jaguars could go either way. Being that Blake Bortles isn't playing, I know I picked the Colts in Wednesday's video, but I'm actually going to go with the Jaguars in this one. And then the Dolphins will beat the Bills, because I honestly think the Dolphins will beat the Bills. So after week 13, if you look at the AFC, first seed is Chiefs, second seed is Steelers, third seed is the Patriots, and the fourth seed is the Texans, with the wild card going to the Ravens and the Chargers, which is kind of what it looks like now. So nothing really changed after week 13. Then we go to week 14. Now you got the Titans home for the Jags. Again, this all depends on what happened the week before. So if the Jags played really well, and if the Jags came out and beat the Colts pretty bad, then this game I'd probably take the Jags to beat the Titans. But then if it went the other way around, and their Bristol or Cody Kessler, I think that's the quarterback who's going to be playing for the Jaguars now, if he craps the bed, then I would think that the Titans would take this one. But in this one, I'm going to actually take the Jaguars because I feel like their defense is going to start showing up. So that's that. This one, I'm going to take the Bills to beat the Jets because of what they did to the Jets in the Jet Stadium. So you know, I'm doing these future picks, but I do the picks with my dad. So these might change depending on how games go throughout the week. So Broncos, I think, are going to beat the 49ers. I think the Chargers will beat the Bengals. Steelers are going to beat the Raiders. I think that the Chiefs will beat the Ravens. Panthers will beat the Browns. With the Texans-Colts, I'm actually going to take the Texans in this one because the Texans already beat the Colts in Indianapolis, and I think that they can come back and obviously win this one in Houston. And then I think that if the Dolphins can beat the Bills and then, do what they did last year against the Patriots at home, I think they could do it again. So if you look at it now, after week 14, after all the picks I've made, the Dolphins are now the 6th seed. It's the only thing that changed is now the Dolphins go into the 6th seed at 7-6. They are tied with the Denver Broncos, have a better record than the Baltimore Ravens and the Colts by 1 game. That's if this pans out this way. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking I'm crazy. There's no way that the schedule will pan out this way. This is just what I'm going off of when it comes to right now. I don't know what the games are going to be played like Sunday. I don't know what injuries might happen on Sunday. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm just going off of what I know right now. Then if we look at week 15, there's a lot of games where NFC played the AFC, so I didn't pick a lot of these games. I think that the Chiefs will beat the Chargers, mostly because they're home. That's the reason I think they're, mostly because they're home. I think the Texans will beat the Jets. I think that the Giants will beat the Titans, just because the Titans don't play very well on the road. So that's my mindset with that. I think that the Redskins will beat the Jaguars, only because I like the Redskins' defense and their offense is, to me, better than the Jaguars. I'm honestly thinking that the Cowboys will beat the Colts, because the Cowboys is playing really well on defense and their offense is starting to click, whereas the Colts defense isn't too great. I understand that the Dolphins didn't do very well in the 4th quarter against the Colts defense, but they did score 24 points on the Colts defense, and the Dolphins offense sucked. So just imagine what the Cowboys can do. Obviously I'm picking the Lions to beat the Bills, because I don't think the Bills have a good offense. I know that their quarterback ran for a few touchdowns, beat the Jaguars and stuff, but he still has a very low completion percentage. I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video with the preview. Obviously, I think the Ravens are going to beat the Bucks. I think that the Steelers are going to beat the Patriots at home. That's honestly what I think. I think that the Bengals will beat the Raiders, because I think that the Raiders are just bad. And then when it comes down to the Dolphins and the Vikings, I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. And that hurts, because at this point in the season, if you look at the AFC East, the Dolphins are 1 game behind the Patriots. But I honestly think that the Dolphins aren't going to beat the Vikings. Just the way the Vikings are playing right now, I honestly don't think that they're going to beat the Vikings. When it comes to the Broncos and Bears game, if you look at it right now after my predictions, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but my predictions, if you look at it, they take the 6th seed if they beat the Browns, but if they lose to the Browns, then the Ravens take the 6th seed. So if you look at the other 2 weeks, if they beat the 49ers and if they beat the Bengals, all of a sudden the Broncos are talking in contention of making this wild card. So that's how crazy this is. So say that the Bears beat the Broncos, right? And I noticed something too. Watch the Dolphin symbol here. I wish that was our logo. But also look at this. If the Dolphins beat the Vikings, look who's number 1 in the AFC East, and look who's the 4th seed. It's the Miami Dolphins. So say we do beat the Patriots and the Bills in the next 2 weeks, then this Vikings game is way more important than you would think, because then it might show who is going to take the AFC East. Right now, I do think the Vikings will lose. With the Broncos and the Browns, that's a hard one for me to pick. But as of right now, I'm actually going to take the Browns in this one, just because I like the way their offense is playing, and the Broncos are very roller coastery, very up and down. Week 16, I think that the Redskins will beat the Titans. I think that the Chargers will beat the Ravens. Obviously, I think the Patriots will beat the Bills. I think the Colts at home will beat the Giants. Don't be surprised if the Eagles beat the Texans at home. This is a good one. The Saints-Steelers. I think the Saints will beat the Steelers at home. Again, I think that the Browns will beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals are really going to fall off here. I think the Broncos will beat the 49ers. And then I honestly think that the Dolphins can beat the Jaguars because of how bad their offense is doing. They don't scare me as much as they used to when the season started. So then after week 16... Oh, and sorry, I missed this one. I think that the Chiefs will beat the Seahawks. But don't be surprised, honestly, if it goes the other way around and the Seahawks beat the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs will beat the Seahawks. Now, if you're looking at Week 16 now, after my picks, the Dolphins are in the playoffs, in the wild card, in the 6th seed. Again, if they beat the Vikings that will change everything, but I'll show you what a definite thing could be at week 17. So right now, there was a little bit of a change in the NFC with the first seed, the second seed still being the same, but then all of a sudden the Vikings are the third seed, the Seattle is the sixth seed, and the Bears are now, they're in the wild card. Whereas the Dolphins now are in the playoffs. That's the only thing that has changed with the AFC is the Dolphins are now in the playoffs. They just need to beat the Patriots, beat the Bills, and beat the Jaguars, and right now they're in contention if the other things happen with the Colts, the Titans, and the Ravens. Finally, the final week of the season, this is where I honestly think it would all come down to close battles for that wild card spot. Because if you look, Dolphins are 8-7, Denver's 8-7, Indianapolis is 7-8, and Baltimore and Cleveland are 7-8, 7-7-1. I think the week 17 will be very close and very competitive games where we can start seeing like winning in, you know, or you need to win and these people need to lose, which I actually like that with week 17s. And it makes you sit there and watch and start looking at other teams like, what's going on? So I'm going to pick the games that don't really matter. So I think the Patriots would beat the Jets. I think the Steelers would beat the Bengals. I think that the Chargers would beat the Broncos. Chiefs will beat the Raiders. I'm going to pick the Texans to beat the Jags. So then it comes down to the Ravens-Browns games, the Dolphins-Bills game, the Titans-Colts game. Those are the games that it will come down to. Now, say the Dolphins go up to Buffalo when it's going to be cold as shit, they beat the Bills, right? At this point, if the Colts win and the Ravens win, it doesn't matter. So in my scenario, with the Colts and the Ravens and the Titans losing the games that I said they were going to lose and the Dolphins winning the games they're going to win, it doesn't matter what happens with these games, right? So say the Dolphins lose to the Bills. At that point, they're pretty much out of the playoffs if the Dolphins lose to the Bills. Because then if you look, the Ravens would lose to the Browns, all of a sudden the Browns are in the playoffs. And then if the Colts, the Titans and the Colts don't matter. So that's, Dolphins would just need to win those games. You win those games and you're in. Let's see what would happen if, say, the Colts won some of the games I think they might lose. So say they beat the Texans, right? If the Colts have the same tying record as the Dolphins, it don't matter because of the tiebreaker. But then let's throw in another team. Let's make it a 3-team race. So if it's the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Colts in a three-way tie, then the Ravens get in. And then let's see what happens if there's a 4-way tie. Let me pick another game for the Titans to make it a 4-way tie. So then if it's a 4-way tie, you still see that the Ravens are in the wild card spot. So what we want to see is the Ravens needs to start losing games, the Colts needs to start losing games, and the Dolphins need to win at least 4 of the next 5 games. Now let's say that the Dolphins win all 5 of the games. So if you see here, even if the Dolphins go 10-6 and the Patriots go 10-6, due to a tiebreaker, the Patriots would go in, and essentially that would probably be off of conference standings and stuff like that. So even if the Dolphins do go 10-6 and the Patriots go 10-6, there's not a chance for them to win the AFC East. So as much as I was talking about, you know, potentials, it's not going to happen because the Patriots have to play the Jets and then they have to play the Bills the last 2 weeks. They ain't losing to the Patriots, the Jets and the Bills. I do think that they have a good chance of losing to the Steelers, have a good chance of potentially losing the Dolphins again. The Dolphins might be an inferior team and the Dolphins might suck right now, but they always play very well at home against the Patriots, and I do think that they'll lose to the Vikings. But essentially for the Dolphins to make the playoffs, right, if they lose to the Vikings, they need the Colts, the Ravens, and the Titans to lose a bunch of games. If that doesn't happen and the Colts and the Ravens have the same record as the Dolphins, they're not in. So right now, the Dolphins just need to take care of their own business and just hope for other things to happen. Comment below, let me know what you think. Obviously, this is a huge pipe dream. This most likely won't happen, especially with the AFC and the NFC with these teams going. This is just what I know off of right now. Things could change, injuries could happen, wins could happen, losses could happen any given Sunday. So comment below, let me know what you guys think. Speaking of comments below, I'm going to get to you guys' questions. And this question is coming from Twitter. It comes from Peerless Curse. And he asks me, as fans, we hear one thing and see another from Gase. He says he trusts Tannehill's arm, but calls running plays on 3rd and long. What, as fans, are we supposed to believe? Very good question, because I hear a lot of beat writers talking about this too. Like, he says one thing and does another, and it's because he keeps a lot of things close to the chest. You don't want to go out and say, Tannehill's hurt, we don't trust him, or Tannehill's hurt, but we're going to play him anyway, because then it gives the opponent up because they know what's going on with Tannehill. Secondly, you want to keep certain things in-house. You want to keep, you know, if something's going on, if this or that, you don't want it to become a distraction for the team. You don't want other people to be like, oh my God, what's going on? So you want to keep it close to your chest. When it came to that play, the more I'm hearing, the more I'm realizing that the series before that 3rd and 10 call is when I didn't like it. When it came to that 3rd and 10 call, I can see where his mind was. I still didn't like it, but I could see where his mind was. Things added up to it, right? So you had Sonoris Perry taking the ball down, which put him in that situation. You had the Xavier Howard penalty, which put him in that situation. And then if that play did happen, you had the hold, which I said it was on Cameron Wake. It wasn't on Cameron Wake. The blatant hold was on Branch, who even said that he's going to start flopping because these holds are so bad. Those 3 things happen. The Dolphins actually win the game because they would stop them on 3rd down, and the Dolphins offense, when they weren't backed up in their own, you know, 20 in their own red zone, would doing really well. So that answers your question on why he says one thing but then does another. It's because a lot of coaches do that. But thank you for the question. Really appreciate it. Be sure to comment below. Get me your questions. I'm going to be recording my preview video tomorrow morning, so be sure to comment below. I'm going to be taking the question for the preview Dolphins-Bills game from here. So if you want to get into the video if you want to get in the video tomorrow, comment below. Follow me on Twitter if you're not following me on Twitter already. If you don't got a Twitter, then you can make one if you want. Follow me there. I tweet out a bunch of things. If not, that's cool. But here's my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle. It's all pretty much the same. Everything's DouglieDoWrong. Go over, follow my second channel, The Bit Boys. If you like video games and you like entertaining stupid people like us, go over there, check it out. Saturday starts the Christmas month, so we're playing Christmas games, Christmas themed, Christmas galore. So go over there if you like it, subscribe. I'm going to be sending out wristbands extremely soon, probably tomorrow, so you might be getting your wristbands really soon. Give this video a thumbs up, because like I showed you, they're not knocked out of the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, you know, it's not too bad. They're behind the Ravens and the Colts right now. Things could fall to place where the Dolphins can make the wild card. Can they win the playoffs? No, it doesn't seem likely because of the Jets and the Bills playing the Patriots, but you never know. One of those weeks, the Jets or the Bills can beat the Patriots and boom, Dolphins win the AFC East. Not going to happen. But as a fan, you can dream, and as a fan, you root for your team. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I do Dolphin videos all the time, even in the off season. I got things planned. I actually have other videos planned in the off season, because there is a point where there's a huge lull when it comes to NFL and football and Dolphin stuff. So in that point, I'm going to bring you guys videos. Just, you know, you can even suggest videos. Hey Doug, do a reaction to this, or hey Doug, you know, do your list of this, and I'll do it. So subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I will see you guys tomorrow with my preview of the Dolphins facing the Bills. Like usual, stay classy. Fans up.